что не говорю, что я опаздываю. 17:30, видишь, нет еще. Валик, шалом.
Мне понравился этот вид спорта. Я начал этим заниматься, попал, наверное, большую роль, что сыграл, попал в хорошую команду. Вообще проводить время с этими пацанами.
Жульничать начал.
Когда мы были молодыми, вообще были у нас примеры, на кого можно было смотреть в период. Такие большие громкие имена в российском ММА. Это Шамиль Завуров, Рустам Хабилов, Магомед Расул Хасбулаев. Ну, они нам показывали вот, своим примером. Вот.
Босиком специально босиком брать, чтобы не подскользнулась нога случайно. Даже в носках нельзя. Еще ты дерешься же. Босиком у тебя полностью должна нога чувствовать землю.
Deep inside one of combat sport's most punishing and unforgiving training environments, Islam Makhachev grinds relentlessly, approaching every session as another foundation stone in constructing a version of himself that becomes unbeatable when the stakes reach their highest point.
А за Ислама кто делает?
За Ислама стираешь? Ну уже 50.
Я вчера понял, что за опоздание ничего не бывает.
Что за опоздание ничего не бывает.
Это был первый сбор тогда, когда вот Хаид базу запустил. Он даже ее тогда не запустил, но он сказал, что там Ислам есть ковер, есть гостиница. И вот там подъем вот сразу. Это просто гора, которая стоит перед базой, вот на нее надо бежать. Вот такой подъем, с первых 200 метров все уже.
Preparing to meet Ian Gary, Makhachev refuses to leave anything to chance, dedicating himself to exhausting grappling and wrestling sessions that serve as stark reminders to everyone following the sport exactly why finding yourself trapped beneath him on the mat represents a waking terror no competitor ever hopes to experience.
Мне нормально, если балл я не отдам. Взять не обязательно. У меня это есть понятие, как там делать. В голове получается, там не получается.
Главное намерение. А намерение же оценивается.
Gary has appeared untouchable throughout his climb toward this championship opportunity, and the title holder understands that reality completely, which drives him to structure every training day around absolute exactness, knowing full well that sharing the octagon with someone this dangerous means a single momentary lapse could strip away everything the instant that cage door slams closed.
Он очень такой, так скажем, на нашем сленге, опытный волчара. Он с ним нельзя шагать. Если даже их взять, убрать в сторону борьбу, мое мнение, что Ислам даже чисто в боксе перейдет, в тайском боксе. Нету таких аспектов, где Ислам ему уступает.
High in the mountain ranges, his crew logging countless miles through every grueling session, Makhachev endures the harsh, solitary labor that shapes champions, running hard, drilling relentlessly, and weathering punishing elements most fighters would refuse to face willingly. All designed to demonstrate this weight class remains his domain, and no one else comes remotely near his level.
Приятный после того, как закончилось все это даже. И больше у нас на этих сборах этого не будет.
Как это не будет? Будет? Он что, тренер, что ли?
Я уже...
Момент важно, чтобы я ушел непобежденным. Ну, не побежденным, не проиграть пояс и уйти в статус чемпиона. Но не знаю, когда это случится, потому что Нравится быть статус чемпионом, нравится вот.
Leading into the PFL Champions Series, Islam Nurmagomedov offered his perspective on the anticipated August showdown between his training partner Islam Makhachev and Ian Gary, lending his complete support to the current belt holder.
Islam is like best fighter in the world right now, and like what he doing, like nobody can do. Like even he now breaking the records, like how he Anderson Silva.
Yeah, he's tied at 16. So
much,
next
yeah?
next one, if he wins, he'll have 17
Yes,
and he'll have the record by himself.
Yes. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that, brother?
Yeah. No, I keep saying if he gets to 20, that would be 20 wins in a row would be crazy.
If he did, brother, nobody never gonna break this.
Examining the matchup more closely, Usman discussed how much physical mass Makhachev now carries, confessing that a recent training exchange left him genuinely surprised by the champion's considerable frame, emphasizing this will prove significant against a rangy striker like Gary, particularly when the battle transitions to the canvas.
Yes, he's big now. Last time when I did with him sparring, it was so hard because he's really big. His arms, his legs, now he's big. Now he doesn't cut too much weight and he feel good.
Yeah. Do you think Ian can do anything to challenge him, or do you see this as a pretty dominant fight for him?
Ian Gary is a top guy, and of course he can do something. But I think he's not gonna be prepared for everything. Like striking, grappling, wrestling. We know Ian Gary he have like a problem with the wrestling. His grappling, like Islam have.
Delivering his straightforward prediction for how the contest might develop, Usman acknowledged Gary as a skilled threat capable of creating difficulties, though he questions whether the Irishman possesses solutions for everything Makhachev delivers, especially the wrestling and grappling, highlighting the vulnerabilities Gary has displayed in those departments, and forecasting the champion's mat dominance would emerge as a decisive element.
Very good control in the ground and very good wrestling, how to take the guy to on the ground, and he have like good striking. Now, very good fight. My opinion is gonna be huge fight. We'll see. It's gonna be middle of August, yeah?
Yeah, I think August 15th in Philadelphia is the plan.
Maybe. I doesn't know like exactly when, but my opinion is gonna be good fight, and I think it's gonna be his best camp.
The relative silence surrounding this bout might signal trouble brewing, particularly when Dagestan and Ireland collide, something audiences witnessed directly during the Khabib and Conor era, with Oscar Willis raising concerns about potential mayhem, suspecting the Irish-Dagestani narrative and built-up tension will erupt heavily throughout fight week, believing confrontational moments seem likely given Gary's tendency to provoke and stir the pot.
Don't know, but I would imagine they do a press conference on Conor Fight Week with Ian and Islam. I suspect the Irish-Dagestani thing will come up pretty heavily because it's on that week.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and I think in the past we've seen... I always remember Khabib getting really annoyed with Tony because, stereotypically Russians are very, very logical people, and Tony is obviously not a logical person. And I remember Khabib getting very frustrated with like things Tony would say that don't make sense. Ian Gary says a lot of shit that doesn't make sense. So I'm actually curious to see how Islam and Ian play off each other. And I think it'll actually be quite an interesting dynamic. And I imagine because Ian loves to poke the bear, he loves to promote the fight and stuff like that, I could see that getting quite heated.
Shifting to tactical considerations, Willis observes that although Makhachev enters as the betting favorite, Gary represents a complex puzzle equipped with a talent for managing pace and surprisingly capable grappling instincts that could render him a tougher challenge than anticipated. Arguing the Irishman's capacity to dictate rhythm and pull opponents into difficult situations deserves serious attention even against someone as accomplished as Makhachev.
In terms of Ian and Islam, I think Ian's going to give him is a really tricky fight. I don't know if it's tough necessarily, but I think he's a very weird puzzle to overcome for Islam. Ian has the same ability, I think, that Sean Strickland does, in that he just logs everyone into his pace. He just lulls everyone into his pace, and he just sort of stalls it out, and he just gives them issues and stuff like that. His range, his frame, I think is going to be hard for Islam to work with. It's sort of Jack Della Maddalena is a small welterweight. Ian is not, so there's going to be a puzzle there. And I don't think I'm airing anything out. I was with Craig Jones in New York, and he said he thinks Ian has shown against Shavkat like really natural tendencies of grapple reversals and scrambles and things like that you wouldn't see at someone else who's not been training grappling.
Considering what holding championship gold truly demands, Luke Thomas suggested this might prove a more difficult evening for Makhachev than many people expect. Observing that title defenses against genuine top contenders never come easy, and Gary brings a unique collection of challenges, adding that even a Makhachev victory might not resemble the commanding performances fans have grown accustomed to, since Gary's approach could force the champion into tricky sequences that test his ability to adjust and overcome.
Man, the hardest thing to do in MMA is to stand a post at a weight class as the champion and say, send the #1 contenders down the line. Like, being able to beat those guys who on that night, it's their most important night. And of course, it's a huge night for Islam too, but it can't possibly mean the same to him as it does for a guy like Ian Gary. And there's a lot of tape on Islam, but that MMA is full of, there's just something different about being a champion, defending against legit #1 contenders, which Gary, whatever else you want to say about him, absolutely is that at welterweight. Having much more difficulty with that than some of these other big stakes fights that we think are going to trip him up. I thought Jack Della Maddalena would have given him a tough fight, and it just wasn't that way at all. I guarantee you Gary gives him a much tougher fight.
On his own defensive abilities, Gary highlights his intelligent fight management and defensive sharpness as the foundation for defeating Makhachev, arguing his approach remains hard to decipher and forecast, which disrupts opponents' strategies and forces them into uncomfortable territory, insisting that capacity to stay slippery and minimize damage even against elite competition defines exactly what distinguishes him from other challengers.
On the feet, I'm tricky on the ground, I'm hard to touch, I'm hard to control, I'm hard to predict what I'm going to do, I'm hard to read. All of those are elite stand-up and grappling skills. So from my point of view, there is nobody in this division that is a trickier matchup for Islam Makhachev. I'm 6'3", I'm long, I'm tall, I'm beautiful. I know how to use my hands, my feet. I know how to stop the takedown. I stopped 15 of 17 takedowns from Shavkat and Bilal Muhammad. I know what I'm doing in this sport. 4 people in this sport since I made my UFC debut have double-digit wins.
When Makhachev's remarks about the Irish versus Dagestan rivalry surface, Gary responds directly, stating he expected more creative verbal sparring from a champion of Makhachev's standing. Though despite the exchanges, he carefully distinguishes between promotional theater and the authentic respect he maintains for Makhachev as a competitor, while making absolutely certain that respect does nothing to diminish his belief in his own capability to leave Philadelphia wearing the championship.
Like they say, from AliExpress, right? So what is AliExpress? Is that Alibaba?
Yeah, it's like kind of
Temu?
Yeah.
Wish?
Wish, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that.
So he's mocking it?
Cheaply manufactured.
He's mocking it?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
He's saying it's nothing like Khabib versus.
That's crazy. I mean, who would say that? But it still is round 2.
That's his whole point. Yeah, it's round 2, but it's the Wish version.
The clip of him saying this is the AliExpress version of that Dagestan-Ireland feud, sort of laughing it off. Is there something here that you're trying to, right the wrong from what transpired in 2018?
What a terrible way for him to sell the fight. What a terrible way for him to talk about himself. Yeah, I take pride in this fight. I take pride in the fact that I'm going to be able to go out there and get a massive win back for my country at the highest stage, at the highest possible point in my career, with all the marbles on the line, the UFC world title. This is the second time Ireland and Dagestan meet in that octagon for a world title, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that it's 1-1.
Beyond the Makhachev confrontation, Gary outlines a precise vision for what he wants the welterweight division to become under his leadership. Increased activity, marquee matchups, and an energy level absent in recent times, mentioning dangerous contenders as potential future challengers, making clear he has zero interest in holding the belt without defending it regularly, or selecting comfortable matchups, emphasizing his ambition isn't merely capturing the title, but elevating the entire division, facing the absolute best, and constructing a legacy comparable to the legends before him.
I tell you another thing. The welterweight division is better and more interesting with me as the champion.
Why? Why?
Argue all you want. People can argue. It's in my opinion, that when I'm the champion of the world, the welterweight division is better off. Firstly, Islam only fights once a year. So his next defense might be in July 2027. But the matchups, the stylistic matchups, they're very different. You have on the cards a potential rematch with Carlos Praxis. That would be massive. You have on the cards there's potential. Arguably the biggest fight you can make in the sport at a certain point is a potential rematch with me and Shavkat Rakhmonov whenever he's able and capable to come back.
That considered, sports analyst Josh Thompson remains unconvinced about Gary's prospects, even while criticizing his recent tendency toward decision-oriented performances. Thompson conceded the reach advantage, quickness, and fluid footwork Gary possesses could legitimately create intrigue, assuming he maintains enough discipline to operate at distance, manage range effectively, and prevent Makhachev from securing the clinch entries and takedown opportunities he dominates with. Except staying external against the division's most oppressive grappler for an entire 25 minutes without one critical mistake represents a near impossible demand, and Thompson recognizes that reality better than anyone.
I mean, if Ian can stay on his bike, stay outside, use his range, use his speed, use his accuracy, he can make it interesting. He can make it interesting. I think if he gets taken to the ground or stuck in the clinch, I think it's a long night for him.
A long night? I think he gets taken to the ground. This shit's over faster than him and fucking Charles Oliveira. What the fuck are you talking about? If this fight hits the ground, I don't think he gets up until the fucking ref helps him up. That's what I think. Like, all these other guys, I think they've got way more quality on the ground than he does. But on the feet, 100% I agree.
Regarding his actual prediction, though, Thompson expresses absolute certainty about his position, declaring Islam Makhachev the undisputed #1 pound-for-pound fighter globally, and stating plainly there exists one particular scenario in this fight Gary must evade completely. Warning, once circumstances shift in that direction, Thompson foresees the ending arriving swiftly within 2 or 3 rounds, stressing that avoiding that scenario isn't merely tactical preference, but represents the only barrier between Gary and an extremely brief night in Philadelphia.
To me, it's for Islam. If the fight hits the ground, I think he dominates. I think this fight's probably over within a round or two, maybe 2 rounds, 3. I would say 2 or 3 rounds. Once he gets him down one time, I don't think Gary Machado is the same fighter after that. Pass guard, like throw the legs to the side, pass the guard, get to side control, get to mount, and I think just right to the submission.
Across the sport, fighters evaluating the main event at UFC 330 deliver a consistent yet cautious assessment. And although Makhachev receives widespread recognition as the pound-for-pound king and a candidate for all-time greatness, they maintain Gary represents no typical opponent and carries a genuine danger, understanding by their analysis that Gary's route to victory demands something approaching flawless execution. Yet ultimately, while Gary presents a complicated challenge standing, they identify Makhachev's superior wrestling and ground dominance as the determining factor in the outcome.
Can't wait to get into how this fight's going to look, because I think he's got to manage range to the best of his abilities. He's going to have to be perfect for 25 minutes because he doesn't have that single shot KO power that a Morales or a Prates has. And Islam Makhachev is very good at solving problems in front of him, and if you've got to be perfect for 25 minutes in a cage, Islam Makhachev's the last guy you want to have to do that against. So I think this fight's going to wind up being very high level, very fun to see, and I'm just happy that Ian Gary, even though he has that one loss to Shavkat, aside from that, he's looked damn perfect out there in the UFC in every fight he's in. And love him or hate him or make fun of him, poke fun, because there's obviously a lot of things you can make fun of, the dude can fight. He's
expanding the analysis. The Barnhill brothers emphasized Gary possesses authentic conviction in his capacity to claim the championship. And despite their considerable respect for Makhachev's reign, they expect a high-caliber competitive battle where the champion faces substantial challenges, clarifying this isn't about predicting an upset, but rather acknowledging Gary's size, reach, and self-assurance could render this a significantly tighter affair than widespread opinion suggests. Stressing Gary isn't merely promoting, but has dedicated his entire career preparing for this opportunity. his confidence reinforced by a toolkit that generates authentic difficulties for any adversary, including someone as elite as Makhachev.
That stuck out to me was Ian's confidence, right? We can always read body language and sort of see how somebody actually feels about the fight that they've drawn into based off an interview like that, especially a long one where you can sit with them for 30, 45 minutes and really get to feel it. He's confident he's going to beat Islam Makhachev. He's confident that once he does get the belt, not only is he going to be a better champion, he's going to be a more active champion. He said, look, Islam is going to fight one time this year, and then we know he's not going to fight again in 2026. He's also not going to fight in the early part of 2027. So we're talking about him fighting for the second time after me.
In July of 27.
In July of 27. Yeah, that's so far away. He's like, I'm going to be an active champion. I want to fight. There's tons of good rematch.
And that completes our comprehensive examination of the massive collision between Islam Makhachev and Ian Garry. And should this fight materialize, it contains every component necessary to become one of the most significant and compelling matchups in UFC history, with Makhachev having overpowered nearly every challenger through his elite wrestling, constant pressure, and continuously developing striking, while Garry remains convinced his speed, movement, and belief system provide enough to stun the world and seize the title. But when the octagon door locks, only one fighter will receive the victory. So will Makhachev prolong his remarkable championship run with another commanding showing? Or can Garry deliver one of the most shocking upsets in modern UFC memory? Will this finish by knockout, submission, or reach the judges after 5 rounds? And whoever you're selecting, who should they face afterward? Drop all your forecasts in the comments section because we review every one. And if you appreciated this analysis, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and activate notifications so you never miss the newest UFC updates, fight examinations, predictions, speculation, and post-event coverage. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and we'll catch you in the next video.